The announcement from Trump that, a deal had been done with Yemen. What's going on?
Well, over to this story. And so that's the question, Mike. This Trump truce with Yemen that's been announced, or is it really a surrender? Has the U.S. surrendered to Yemen, or is this really a truce? Let's take a close look at this. Trump ditched Israel with surprise Houthi truce. So the Israeli Times, they're not happy about this at all. Israeli media, that doesn't bode well on Iran. So they're a little bit worried about this shift that's going on with Trump's playing another little sort of Kansas City shuffle here, maybe with Yemen. But here's what the BBC have to say, and to their credit, Mike, the Houthis say the U.S. backed down and Israel not covered by ceasefire. So this ceasefire agreement between Trump and the Yemenis doesn't mean that Trump's saying don't attack Israel. He's not saying don't attack Israel. So Israel's not covered in the ceasefire. So the BBC actually say back down. I was shocked. So it's almost like the BBC is getting involved in some little bit of truthful inferences here. Not much, but it's something anyway. So, and we go on here. Just remember, we published this Hornet going off the USS Harry Truman into the Red Sea because it was evading a Houthi missile strike, and that was weird. Okay, but it was even more weird that it happened again. A second fighter crashes into the sea after a landing failure, quote unquote. $67 million aircraft there, lost in the Red Sea. So that's two. Okay, there's another one as well, a little bit earlier, but all these losses are racking up, and I'm now questioning, Mike, was it a coincidence, or did any of these actually get shot down? Well, let's think about that for a moment. Let's look at this once again. So if we add all these losses up here, and here's the Yemenis dancing on an American flag there somewhere in Yemen. There's Pete Hegseth, the U.S. Secretary of War, donning his tattoos, his many tattoos. But let's look at this. This is what he's responsible for. Hegseth, U.S. losses so far against Yemen. Yemen's Ansar Allah, a.k.a. the Houthis, shot down at least 7 U.S. Reaper drones worth more than $200 million. That's on the conservative side there. And U.S. lost 2 FA-18 Super Hornet jet fighters, again, collectively worth over $200 million there. Total costs for this are well over $1 billion, this operation. 6 weeks of airstrikes here. So the USS Harry Truman damaged after near miss by Houthi missiles. So there's also reports of damage. Are we getting the full story about what has happened in the Red Sea, or the U.S. covering up that they've actually had planes, manned planes shot down, or that their USS Harry Truman aircraft carriers actually been hit?
So this is a good question, because the third one, the one that happened before Christmas, that was supposedly a friendly fire incident where it was shot down by one of the carrier support ships. That is what the official story was. I would question that. Was that actually where they shot down by the Houthis?
Once, twice, 3 times? Or are we looking at coincidences here, or just massive incompetence or negligence, whatever? And the Red Sea shipping has been halted. Israel's Ben Gurion airport is also shut down after Houthi strikes. So look at this. This is the most U.S. military combat losses in this sort of window than I think anything I've ever seen in my life against one of the poorest countries in the world. So for Pete Hegseth, it's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. So I think he's going to resign or be fired pretty soon. Here, this is a timeline of events. So here we are. So this is what you need to pay attention to. The U.S. first, March 15th, 6-week long bombing campaign on Yemen. Okay. After that, 3 days later, Israel ends its ceasefire in Gaza, resumes the genocide. That was March 18th. And then after that, U.S.-Iran nuclear talks begin on April 11th. And Yemen shuts down Ben Gurion Airport on May 4th in Tel Aviv. Israel starts Operation Gideon's Chariot to seize Gaza, the whole of Gaza, on May 6th. That was just this past week. And Israel attacks Yemen, destroys Sana'a airport in response to the Ben Gurion missile strike by Yemen. That was on May 7th. And after that, Trump calls for a, quote, truce with Yemen on May 8th. So I think there's, to me, a clear pattern of what's happening here. And then Trump sidelines Netanyahu in communications. We'll show you some details of that in a moment. Trump's going to visit the Gulf states, not Israel, next week. So you see the progression of events here. It's looking very clear what's going on. Israel attacking Yemen during a U.S. operation, I think, might have been a final straw for Trump with Israel. So I don't know if there was deconfliction there, how much cooperation or support the Israelis had by the U.S., or how much permission, what was the conversation like? Clearly, the whole thing is a shambles, basically, evidenced by the fact Trump has announced a truce with Yemen, which doesn't include Israel. So that's the part that I think is worth noting here. So Trump is, quote, losing patience. This is the Cradle. Multiple media reports have said this as well. Advances U.S. plans without Israeli involvement. That is serious break from before. Trump sidelines Netanyahu in Middle East policy as relations deteriorate. This is from the Israeli press, again, right here. And so we'll look at where this one story came from is right here. Yanir Kozin. He is the diplomatic correspondent for Israeli Army Radio, and he basically said that Trump's team were upset because Ron Dermer, who is Netanyahu's chief aide, basically said Trump needs to do this, and so forth. It's in this tweet here. And so Trump's inner circle warned him that Netanyahu is manipulating the American president, and the characterization deeply displeased Trump, given that Trump hates nothing more than appearing to be manipulated. So serious problems here between Netanyahu's office and Trump. It looks like things are basically going not well at all. Trump cuts off communication with Netanyahu, direct communication. He's meeting Netanyahu's chief aide, but not Netanyahu. He's not going to Israel next week. He's going to the Gulf states. He's going to the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, and not to Israel. So,
and what do you think Netanyahu's response is going to be to this? Is he going to say, "Well, don't care," or is he going to actually? I mean, is this Trump just doing his usual efforts to try to force people or encourage people, let's say, to take certain actions?
Yeah, I think Trump wants to see results in some of these things because it's been 100 days. They haven't really got any real tangible results. A lot of talk on Gaza and Ukraine and the Iran nuclear situation. And Israel seems to be standing in the way of the progress. So the problem is Israel. You can't blame the Palestinians anymore. They can't blame the Russians. They can't blame the Iranians. The problem on all of these fronts is Israel. Israel is impeding progress for the Trump administration to get anything done. And that is the big takeaway